all of the money being spent on premium dollars or some of the services we provide are becoming from ministries. And that starts with somebody at that church, that ministry, uh, giving sacrificially to that ministry, that they're then turn around and utilizing our products, our expertise in order to have that ministry to continue. And we look at that as just a reminder of just what we're called to do, our place in ministry of advancing the kingdom by serving the church, and also as a way of accountability that we want to make sure that we are good stewards of our time, our resources, what we're doing, because this is a direct, everything we do is a direct reflection of what somebody has given sacrificially. So that's a reminder for me of that, and it's really also quite the honor when you look at it, break it down that way.
Hello and welcome back to the Lightwell podcast. It is so good to have you join us today. On this podcast, we've talked a number of times about the insurance needs of ministries and other related ministry entities like camps and schools and stuff like that. But one thing that we haven't gotten very deep into is there's a lot of things that ministries need that aren't insurance, that are also very, very important to their operations and to things going well and being safe and being compliant. And those are very important needs too. And so today, I've got Gabe Brown and Michael Brown, no relation, on the podcast with me. They represent both Lightwell, which you're accustomed to hearing from, and also a brand new brand called Brotherhood Works. And we're going to hear from the two of them today on all those other things that aren't the traditional insurance needs of ministries. So without any more setup, let's get right into our conversation with Gabe and Michael. Well, as promised, we are joined by Gabe Brown. He is the Vice President of Sales and Operations for Brotherhood Works, and Michael Brown, no relation. He is the Employee Benefits Producer for Lightwell in the state of Indiana, Michigan, and Illinois. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So I'm having you guys on at kind of a unique time, particularly for you, Gabe, where we've just seen the launch of a new brand in the marketplace, and it's called Brotherhood Works. And you, obviously, because you're a vice president of operations with that, play a very critical role. So can you tell us just off the top, what is Brotherhood Works and why was it created?
Adam, it's great to be on here. Thanks for allowing us to be here. That's a loaded question because there's a lot to unpack when it comes to Brotherhood Works and just how it came about. Because it's not something that we started and created overnight. This is actually years and years of working alongside ministries and trying to serve ministries in unique different ways over the last, what I would say, 26 years. And through time at Brotherhood, we get the opportunity to meet with ministries and hear different things that make their life a little harder, make it a little more difficult to do what they're called to do. A lot of it's administrative, logistics. Some things that we think of from a risk management standpoint, and we look for opportunities to either add programs, add products, or even sometimes refer them over to other experts. And so through the years, we've been able to do that with a few of our programs, and but we felt like it was time to bring all of these additional programs and products together in one under one unified brand. So for the very first time, we brought some of these things, whether it be from our payroll or the way we're serving the missions community, and brought them under one brand, which we call Brotherhood Works.
So when Lightwell, the agencies called Lightwell all across the country, take insurance products out to market, they go and they represent Brotherhood Mutual Insurance Company. Brotherhood Works is a brand powered by Brotherhood Mutual, right?
Yes. Yep. And that's, yeah, exactly.
So as an extension then, or a partner of Brotherhood Mutual, how does Brotherhood Works differ from other products in the market that do the same kind of service?
Yeah, that's a good question. One, a lot of the things that we are offering isn't something that is available in the market. That's why we either had to create it, modify it, or adjust it so it's very ministry specific. But just like our Brotherhood Mutual property casualty insurance programs, we've designed them specifically for ministries. And so we wanted to, over the last, several years, develop and identify ways to come alongside those agents that are trying to serve ministries, serve them really well. Our Lightwell partners understand ministry, and they're able to offer a lot of solutions through the insurance programs. But we also wanted them to be able to clearly communicate that, hey, within Brotherhood Mutual, through this new brand called Brotherhood Works, we're also able to offer very ministry specific solutions that could be, great for helping that ministry and make their lives a little bit easier, or help them be dialed in on what they're called to do and spend more time on that as opposed to some of the other things that we're able to solve.
Absolutely. So, Michael, I'm coming to you after this question, so stay ready. But one more for you, Gabe, before I do, is can you give us some examples? What is the umbrella of Brotherhood Works hold? What are those different product categories that a ministry that needs their administrative needs met going to find with Brotherhood Works?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So we kind of broke them down to three primary categories. It's how are we coming alongside and providing some HR resources. How are we providing employee benefits? Can we do that through Brotherhood Works? And then we have these specialized services, these additional ways, but all within Brotherhood Works is designed to take care of the people side of ministry. So whether people being employees, key volunteers, and allowing the Brotherhood Mutual insurance product to be on the insurance side, to be more of the, covering the buildings and the casualty side of things. So we've designed Brotherhood Works to specifically serve the people that are making ministry happen.
Okay, so Michael, over to you then. As the benefits producer for Lightwell in the state of Indiana and Michigan and Illinois, how have you seen the delivery happen, or what role have you played in making sure ministries understand what their needs are, that Brotherhood Works then can meet those needs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, as we zoom out, we see sort of a holistic approach to serving our ministries where we've been able to serve so deeply on, the physical side as far as the property and casualty and, any kind of foreign liability, those things. Now we're able to kind of look at things holistically and we can say, okay, what are you doing for payroll? How are you handling your employee benefits? Is your team actually, protected and supported in that way? And that goes even as far as to look at recruitment and retention, with staff and, calling a new pastor. And well, what does that mean for that pastor and his family if he's going to come lead this church? And, it really kind of just broadens the conversation. And I think the thing for me is I get to have kind of that cool interaction on the personal side of things, just talking through how we can support your family as a ministry worker, and not just the building or some of the operational things. The whole goal is for us to advance the kingdom through serving the church, and the church is the people, right? And so we like to get kind of all the way down into that and look at the whole picture. That doesn't mean that it's always, perfect left to right through the process, but we have now the opportunity to serve all the way through. And we're definitely appreciative of that.
That's very cool. Yeah, it seems like through Brotherhood Mutual, what I know of Brotherhood Mutual, their promise has always been, we are here to advance the kingdom by serving the church, and primarily through insurance solutions. But now you're saying you can sort of come and approach a ministry and say, kind of whatever you need, we think that we've got a product or a solution that makes your ministry life less of an administrative burden so you can focus on the things you've actually been called to, which is very exciting and the next evolution in a very long journey toward that. And so, Gabe, quickly back over to you on this. Within that specifically payroll and HR portion of Brotherhood Works, what are some of the product features that make it special just for ministries?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. What makes it most special is the people that are doing it day in, day out. And so, like Brotherhood Mutual, within Brotherhood Works, all of the employee base, the leadership and the team is only working with ministry specific products. So our payroll team is only working with ministries, and so that means they've got another level of expertise on serving the church. And there's when you're working in the nonprofit space, or when you're working with, pastors, there's some really unique laws and things that we need to be aware of. That is actually why we started the payroll company to begin with, was because we recognized that There's lots of people out there doing payroll. I mean, there's no trouble finding somebody that can do it. The issue is that these companies will admittedly say, "Hey, we just don't do ministries well." And quite honestly, we don't necessarily want to. It doesn't mean they don't care about the mission or whatever that happens to be. It's just a level of expertise that it's hard for other organizations to really dial in. But because that's all we do, that's all we're trying to do is dial that in and get better and better at it. So we're offering, payroll. We're doing, some things under human capital management. We do time and attendance, trying to come alongside. Like the way I like to say it is, we are either the HR director that the ministry wishes that they could hire, or we are the HR director's best friend, trying to come alongside them and make sure their lives just a little bit easier and that they understand when they talk to our team that we get it. We get why they come to work every day. We get who their people are that they're trying to serve. And we've got products that can do that really well.
That's excellent. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to you here, Michael, on this side, which is that's the HR and payroll side. Now, what about the employee benefits side? What are the things that are offered through Brotherhood Works on the employee benefits side?
Yeah. So, like I said, it's kind of a holistic approach for us and our whole team. Same thing here as we look specifically at employee benefits. Obviously, the big question is always, what can you do about healthcare? Right. That's sort of the big ticket item and a great place for us to start. But we're also looking at all ancillary lines, dental, vision. I'm a huge proponent of group life and voluntary life and offering those things. And we even, have some of that flexibility with that, where even if we have a ministry that can't support like a group plan sponsored by the ministry at this point, a lot of times we can find solutions where, we're able to support those ministry workers through just ancillary lines and some other, creative solutions on the healthcare side. So I'm always just encouraging that, hey, we kind of have something for every ministry. We can, get deeper into that, but it just really, we want to just start with a conversation and see what you're doing, to support your team and how we can be helpful through that.
That's outstanding. And, this is just me personally, not even as a full-time vocational ministry person, but as I've evaluated job prospects, the opportunity to join a new company, one of the things I look at, obviously there's the compensation piece, but there's also benefits can make it feel like I'm making more or less money depending on the quality of the benefits plan. So how are you coaching or coming alongside ministries so that their benefits package is a way to recruit or retain really good vocational staff?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I was just speaking with somebody about this today that almost more than compensation, benefits packages come up in conversation with new recruits for a job or anybody in the market, especially this day and age. Like healthcare and just general benefits are really kind of the crux of the issue more often than not. And so, like I said, we're kind of looking at every angle of it. Of if you don't have any benefit, you haven't ever offered anything for your team at the church. We're going to start with the healthcare, but we're going to make sure we're looking at a broad spectrum of solutions, because even if we can't land the big plane, which is the healthcare piece, and we have to kind of get creative with how we're supporting that, even if it's not like a group plan, we have all kinds of other things that we can broaden the benefit for lower cost, that's sustainable. And really we're kind of looking at like long-term vision, where do we want to be in 3 years as a ministry and how do we support that? And so it's kind of the long game where we're going to start with that early piece and maybe grow into something. And we want to partner through that growth with the ministry.
Excellent. Okay, I'm about to ask a really niche, kind of detailed question, one that goes right over my head, but if you can explain it to me, then anyone can understand it, which is these acronyms, ICRA and QSERA. Can you help me understand what do those mean? Why are they different? And what are those? What are those plans?
Yeah, so I'll zoom out a little bit. So ICRA and QSERA are two different styles of HRAs, which is health reimbursement account. They're employer sponsored, and essentially the big picture is that they're a vehicle that has tax benefit for the employer to make funds available to reimburse for healthcare expenses, qualified expenses, and there's some flexibility with them. Usually, we see them paired up with individual plans through the marketplace. Each style of HRA has its own benefits in certain situations. So, like the ICRA is an individual coverage HRA. And I love all the acronyms we have in the insurance world. It's great. Got to keep up with it. But the ICRA is built to kind of work well where an employer is planning to front a lot of money and put a lot of money in that HRA, make that available through the year. There's no contribution limits. Um, both HRA styles will interact with the subsidies on the marketplace, those premium tax credits a little differently. Where like the ICRA is going to sort of negate that premium tax credit, and but the hope is that the employer is making enough funds available that it's going to kind of come out in the wash when the employee goes to the marketplace and sees the premiums and all of that. And there's no limit on group size with that either. On the QSERA side of things, that's the qualified small employer HRA. And that's going to be employers that have less than 50 employees. And with that, similar benefit, but there's going to be a contribution limit. And it will allow you to retain some of that premium tax credit, some of that discount you see when you go to the marketplace, but it's just reduced dollar for dollar by whatever is offered by the employer. So, without getting too into the weeds, they're a vehicle that can kind of be a creative solution to leverage the marketplace. Which sometimes for me that's kind of our backstop of we're going to explore all of our options, fully insured plans, level funded, some unique gospel centric solutions like Guidestone. But at the very end of the day, we can go all the way down to individual plans, utilizing an HRA like an ICRA or a QSERA and find a creative solution for the ministry there.
That is very good. And you have helped me go from I don't know anything to I could maybe make a more educated question or decision based on that. But one thing I don't yet know is what's the difference between an HRA and an HSA?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and often we kind of interchange those terms, and we shouldn't because they're pretty distinct entities. So the HRA is employer owned, so the employee cannot contribute to that. It's a vehicle for the employer to make those funds available to the employee. Have a tax benefit, but the HSA is similarly, has a tax benefit up to a certain amount. There's contribution limits, but it's employee owned. So the cool thing about HSAs is that the employer and the employee can both contribute. Um, and there's still that contribution limit. That There's no tax on it up to that contribution limit, but it's really, really a great benefit. The one caveat is that it has to be paired with a high deductible health plan, a qualified health plan, in order for you to open and then contribute to it. But since it's employee owned, it will travel with the employee. So if we ever change health plans or you change jobs, but you have this account, it's your account as an employee, as a person. And so it's yours to kind of do what you see fit within the parameters of, regulatory things with the HSA. So, yeah.
Very good. Okay, that's super helpful. And hopefully ministries who are evaluating this or thinking about employee benefits have gotten some tools or some terms that they can take and ask about when they're having these discussions as well. Gabe, I'm going to bring you back into this and talk about background screening and abuse prevention. Why is that important to ministries today? I feel like I could hazard a guess, but why is it important to do background screening and abuse prevention?
Yeah, so when we within a church or a ministry, or whether it be, camps or schools, or of course, everybody that comes on the grounds of the ministry, we want to make sure we're providing a very safe environment for people to feel comfortable and loved and cared for. And every ministry relies on so many volunteers and employees, so it's important that background screenings are taking place. That we've got certain risk management protocols in place. And within Brotherhood Works and our partnership we have with Ministry Defender Solutions, we are able to provide what we feel like is a top notch screening program that ministries can begin to implement for their employees as part of their onboarding, as well as for all of their volunteers that come alongside the ministry.
That's very good. Now, I'm rounding this out. I'm coming around all the things we've mentioned that are a part of Brotherhood Works. Lastly, missions care. That's a unique kind of, it's a unique term. And I know we've talked about a bunch of different terms today, but within that world of Brotherhood Works, what are you talking about when you say missions care, and how does that apply to ministries?
Yeah, so it's super important for ministries as they begin to stretch outside of the walls of their actual on-site ministry or within their community. And a lot of times, we highly encourage and love that our ministries are going into other cities, other states, and really all the way around the world. And one thing that we recognize is that over time, there's a lot of entities out there that have certain programs, whether it be health benefits, trip cancellation, ways to cover bags, ways that are trying to serve ministries the same way they try to serve individual travelers going on vacations or individual corporate travelers where they're trying to cover their CEOs that are traveling across the country. And we recognize that mission teams, volunteer mission teams going over, or even full time missionaries, they have needs that are different than some of those other categories. So we've developed over time. This is our actually our longest running program. Is we've developed an array of products and that we can come alongside ministries to make sure that we are covering the individual travelers when they're going on mission trips through our Faith Ventures program, which we are just thrilled with the fact that we will insure over 70,000 individual travelers going on to the mission field overseas through Faith Ventures. And at faithventures.com, you can learn about how to prepare for your trip, how to book your airfare with our partners, how to insure your team and even manage your team with some resources. And that all fits in within Brotherhood Works. But on top of that, for these organizations that have ongoing operations overseas, where they've got staff overseas or property, that we want to make sure that we have international liability in place for them. We want to make sure that we're providing a version of workers' comp for missionaries when that makes sense, and providing some uh, additional ways to care for those that are actually sacrificing and changing their entire life, uprooting their family and moving them overseas. We want to make sure not only are they taken care of, but they are well supported, and could take some of that burden off of them as well as off of the organization that's sending them on.
That's so good. That's so good. Now, here's the thing. If I'm a ministry leader listening to this, even just asking you these questions, both of you, there's a lot of products that we've just done this quick skim over the top of, but it makes me wonder, do I have to be a person who needs all of those in order to approach Brotherhood Works? Is this an all or nothing kind of thing?
No, yeah, that's a good question. Absolutely not. In fact, you don't even have to be a Brotherhood Mutual Insurance Company policyholder. Ministries can come alongside Brotherhood Works, and they can pick whatever makes sense. And to be honest, it'd be overwhelming for a ministry leader, an executive pastor, or somebody to try to go and buy all of it at the same time. It's just the timing's not right. It's too much money. There's too many things to try to figure out at once. So we try to do that depending on what the need of the individual ministry is. So if someone's saying, "Hey, we need help with our payroll," then we will talk to that leader specifically just about payroll and dial that in. Now, because we only work with ministries, we can get very technical. We can also make some recommendations. This is what we see with ministries of your size. This typically makes sense. And just like what Michael is saying on the benefit side, no ministry is buying the exact same policy, and we can't just try to offer one thing and try to tack that on to all these other things. Benefits is something that's highly technical, and it does take time to make a decision. So we want to give that ministry leader time to really evaluate what makes sense for them, and not try to latch on to a bunch of other types of products. But there is a lot to talk about within Brotherhood Works, which we're thrilled about. It's also why it was necessary to have a unified brand, because we found that sometimes it can be difficult to talk about all these things in isolation instead of trying to be able to talk about them together. But there's things, Adam, that we have within Brotherhood Works that we haven't even talked about yet.
Right, right. Definitely. So we'll get back to that in a second. I'm going to go off script for just a moment and ask you both about your background, not your professional or personal background, but literally what you're sitting in front of. So, Michael, over your left shoulder, I see what I believe to be a hi-hat. Is that a drum set behind you? And does that belong to someone else, or do you drum?
No, actually, well, in a previous life, I was a music educator. and yeah, I'm a percussionist. I have my BME in music education. So it's been a minute since I was doing that, but yeah. So my office sort of doubles as a pseudo studio. So yeah.
That is awesome. And you are cooler than me and Gabe. And I knew that before the conversation started, but that proves it. And so, Gabe, over your left shoulder, I see like a plate or a circle leaning up against the wall. And I already know the answer to this question, but I'm interested in hearing the way you would describe it for the people listening today. What is that and why do you have it?
Yeah, that's an offering plate that we have here. I have that in my office as a reminder because all we do is insure ministries and have that privilege. We recognize that all the money being spent on premium dollars or some of the services we provide are becoming from ministries. And that starts with somebody at that church, that ministry, uh, giving sacrificially to that ministry that they're then turn around and utilizing our products and our expertise in order to have that ministry to continue. And we look at that as just a reminder of just what we're called to do, our place in ministry of advancing the kingdom by serving the church, and also as a way of accountability that we want to make sure that we are good stewards of our time, our resources, the what we're doing because this is a direct everything we do is a direct reflection of what somebody has given sacrificially. So that's a reminder for me of that, and it's really also quite the honor when you look at it, break it down that way.
It's very good. I'm very thankful that you shared that. Thanks for honoring that question. And it really brings me back around then to Brotherhood Works as we wrap up, which is Gabe, I know you personally, and I know you've been at Brotherhood Mutual for 25 years, and you've actually been in the room when many of these different products and services that we've talked about were started with that spirit of serving ministries because they don't just need insurance and they don't just need payroll and they don't just need HR solutions. They have all of these different needs. And here, Brotherhood Mutual and Brotherhood Works is an organization that specifically exists to alleviate and help with those burdens. So, as you step into this new era where Brotherhood Works now combines all these products into one name, what's the long term vision? What's Brotherhood Works doing in 10 years, 15 years, based on how you see it now?
Man, that's a good question. What I love about the answer to that question is, Adam, I don't know. I don't know what's next. I don't know. I know some things that we're working on. What I do know is that we are called to serve the church and serve it well. I do know that we are committed to the church. I do know that we are personally involved and that we have daily interaction as an organization, and we also have consistent feedback from our ministries on what they're struggling with, what they're facing, and so I'd like to think that we as leadership and we as a company have have a pretty good pulse on what ministries are facing and then trying to listen and decipher, okay, what does that mean for us? And then how can we leverage our resources, the people we know, the other partners to try to provide a solution that will serve ministries well. So the things that we have right now for under Brotherhood Works are a combination of a lot of things that we've built over time with and alongside ministry. So ensuring ministry mission trips, because we found out that something happened on the mission field in about 1998, and they called our company and said, "Hey, can you help?" And we weren't prepared for it at that time, but we said that's not okay. Let's fix that. And now, 26 years later, we're still trying to get better at serving ministries and people going overseas to, hey, we need to start a payroll company because nobody else is able to do it or wants to do it. So let's get involved. And now we're able to provide payroll for, 8,000 ministries. And we're continuing to expand that product offering. And we have an accident health program we didn't talk about yet on this podcast, but where we're providing student med, camper med, different ways that we're ensuring those that are coming on the ministry's campus to make sure that those people that are participating in those activities are taken care of as a way of supporting that individual traveler as well as or individual participant as well as as well as the ministry, and then the benefits, and then background screening, and different things that we're still developing. So I see it coming. I see more things coming along, but I'm also very excited to see what God has in store for us, and we're trying to prayerfully consider what those things might be. And it's going to be exciting to see how this continues to build out, because this is not the end. This is just the beginning. I see it.
That's absolutely right. It's really exciting. I'm excited to watch it as well. So, Michael, we can throw it over to you one more time because I don't want to leave anything on the table. Is there anything you wanted to share today or that I haven't asked about yet that you thought I was going to be asking you about today?
We just want to have a conversation. I mean, I spend my whole day speaking with ministries, and I've had plenty of ministries that are like, "Oh, we don't think we're ready for any kind of plan or ready to jump into healthcare or anything." And all I would just say is, let's just talk about it, because we can take that off your plate to explore just what the options are. And with a background in education, I love the process of partnering with a ministry that's looking to add a new benefit or looking to revisit something, and just kind of walk through the process of learning together, exploring what those options might be, and then we can work together to maybe figure out a timeline if we can build something out working together through that. But it all just starts with a conversation, and don't hesitate to call. We're reaching out every day to lots of ministries, but just always would just say, don't hesitate to call. We would love to talk through it and explore it together. So
Outstanding. Well, we will talk more about how to get a hold of both Brotherhood Works and Lightwell on our way out. But before then, I just want to say thank you both, Michael and Gabe, for your time today. It has been a real honor to hear all of this, both the products and the services, but more importantly, both of your heart for serving and protecting the church and making sure it's thriving. So thanks again for being on the podcast.
yeah, thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
My thanks once again to Gabe Brown, the Sales and Operations Vice President for Brotherhood Works, and Michael Brown, the Employee Benefits Producer for Lightwell in the state of Indiana, Michigan, and Illinois. Now, a lot of information, specific details were shared about products and services through Brotherhood Works. If you want to learn more, you can go to brotherhoodmutual.com and you'll find a tab for Brotherhood Works there. And you can see more of those product offerings and details that Gabe was describing. Or if you'd rather have a human conversation about it and just connect with an advisor in your area, you can go to lightwell.com, find your state, and then engage a Lightwell agent or advisor in your area about your specific needs, both for your, maybe your insurance, but then also for these other things that we discussed today as well. I am so grateful that you have given us your time today to listen to the Lightwell podcast. And until the next time we get the chance to talk, go and let it shine.